Because we are less, we must be twice more qualified, twice more educated, and twice more ambitious. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. إنما المؤمنون إخوة فأصلحوا بين أخويكم واتقوا الله لعلكم ترحمون. صدق الله العلي العظيم. Sunni historical oppression of Shias is undeniable and continues till now across the world. Ali alayhi salam once said, "My Shia will endure the most oppression in the world," and oppressed we have been. Quiet we are no longer. Quiet I am no longer. Ghadeer Khum, significant in magnitude to the Shia, but downplayed and irrelevant to the Sunnis, has always been a point of contention between both parties. For those that are not aware about that event, most times being the Sunnis, I'll provide a brief summary today of that historical event so we may afterwards truly dissect the significance of the event. On the last Hajj, also known as the farewell Hajj of the Prophet, peace be upon him, he ordered his close followers to call all the people to join him. Now, on the fourth day, more than 100,000 Muslims entered Mecca. They then went out towards Medina and stopped at a place called Ghadir Khum. Now, why Ghadir Khum? This was a place where people from different places would say goodbye to each other and take different routes back home. So, according to Shia and Sunni sources, the verse 562, 5, chapter 5, verse number 67 was then revealed. Chapter 5, verse number 67 was then revealed. It was revealed at that time. O messenger, deliver what has been sent down to you from your Lord. Sunnis claim the religion was already complete at that time. Now, what more could the Prophet deliver, right? If the religion was complete at that time, as they say. Now, when this revelation came down, uh, he ordered, so the Prophet, peace be upon him, ordered the Sahabi Salman to build a pulpit so he can deliver on that announcement. It's recorded that the heat was so severe on that day that people were wrapping their robes and so they were wrapping the robes around their feet and legs. That's how hot it was. The Prophet, peace be upon him, spoke for nearly 5 hours. The crucial parts that everyone highlights from the speech that has been numerously narrated in books many times by all Muslims. So all Shias, all Sunnis are the following. So these are the main points that have been continuously narrated. Number one, the Prophet says, my time is approaching and I shall be called away by Allah. Number two, I'm leaving for you two precious things, and if you adhere to both of them, you will never go astray after me, the Quran and my Ahlul Bayt. The two shall never separate from each other until they come to me at the pool of paradise. Number three, the Prophet, peace be upon him, then took Ali's hand and raised it and said, "Whoever's master I am, Ali is his master." And he repeated that 3 times. O Allah, love those who love him, be hostile to those who are hostile to him. Help those who help him, forsake those who forsake him, and keep the truth with him wherever he turns. So these are the 3 points constantly recounted on the Prophet's last Hajj sermon. Now, I have just summarized for you the entire event in just a few minutes. What we inherit from that event is much more significant than it just being a glimpse in Islamic history or just a cool story to tell your friends and family or neighbors, as unfortunately as Sunnis always try to do with this, downplaying this key historical event. Sunnis say, you know, why this Shia obsession with Imam Ali alayhi salam? He's just a human. Focus on Allah instead. Why, you ask? I'll tell you why. The significance of Ghadir Khum is about unconditionally submitting to Allah's decree. Imam Ali alayhi salam was appointed by Allah through the Prophet, peace be upon him, and his family. Now, I'd like to examine the Sunni narrative on this event. Here is the Sunni narrative. So, some blockheads, nitwits, complained about Ali to the Prophet. So, the Prophet delayed till Hajj to gather 100,000 people in the scorching hot desert. So, the Prophet stood for hours talking about a lot of things and near the end finished his speech with breaking news that, hey, Ali is a friend of our Prophet. Allahu Akbar. What what absurdities. I need to pause for a second here. Please respect yourselves. and your intellects, ya Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, your scholars are making absolute fools of you. Firstly, my first point on that is, um, what a strange Sunni conclusion. Since the Quran has already declared every Muslim to be friends of one another, was Ali not a friend to the Prophet already? Wasn't he? And wasn't he also his immediate family, his cousin his cousin and son-in-law? Why does Muhammad, peace be upon him, need to declare Ali as a friend, as per the Sunni narrative? Why? An entire speech to declare him a friend? Anyways, second, the Sunni narrative is this speech was merely to announce his friendship to Ali. Sure, let's make 100,000 of exhausted Muslim Hajis wait and stand in the scorching heat for hours, ask companions to build a stage-like structure so he can deliver his speech, and then hours later announce to the thousands of people that, hey, people, let me remind you, Ali is my friend. This prophet, the mercy sent to mankind, makes everyone go through all of this just to announce his friendship. Strange prophet, eh? Strange prophet. Maybe this is a delusional prophet, as Umar ibn Khattab called him soon after. I don't know. Third, the Sunnis lied about the significance of this event by stating the speech was given only because some companions complained about Ali. So when we look at this point, this is why they argue. They say that, and therefore, because some companions complained about Ali, therefore the Prophet wanted to defend Ali's honor, and he had to declare him a friend of his. What a farce. For the love of God, read history, ya Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, and expose your scholars that lie to you. A little bit of history for you. The Holy Prophet sent missions to various parts of Arabia. One of such missions was under Khalid bin Walid, who was sent to Yemen to invite Yemenites to Islam. His mission was such a disaster. His lack of Islamic knowledge in all and everything, particularly in the concept of there's no compulsion in religion, he ended up slaughtering and killing unjustly the people of Yemen in the name of Islam. The Prophet, peace be upon him, recalled Khalid back and sent Ali alayhi salam instead. Ali was instructed by Muhammad to not engage them in fighting unless they attack first. Ali's mission, Ali alayhi salam's mission, was so successful. All of Yemen became Muslims through his effort. He executed this mission, as always, with splendid competence and confidence, and demonstrated that he was truly a missionary of Islam in excellence. This Yemeni expedition became known as Ali's expedition. As such, now that we understand the short history that ensued just before Ghadir Khum, we can see that the Sunni narrative on this event sounds like, unfortunately, it sounds like a child making up excuses for eating cookies right before dinner. It's complete nonsense. Sunnis use a tactic called diversion, a fallacy of beliefs, a wrong conclusion. Fourthly, let's accept the Sunni narrative for the sake of argument, right? That the entire sermon and gathering of 100,000 exhausted people in the middle of a hot desert was to announce Ali's friendship. Let's just assume for a second. But there's a piece of the sermon that is important as well to remember, where the Prophet, peace be upon him, says, love those that love Ali and be the enemy of those who are enemies of Ali. Therefore, even the Sunni Mawla means friend claim results in a problem for Sunnism. If the Prophet commanded people to be the friends of Ali, then why did a large group of tyrant, disobedient Sahabis oppose him and even go to war against him on several occasions? Why? What about those that wanted to burn Ali's home and family to force his allegiance to Abu Bakr? Is that friendship or isn't that disobedience to the Prophet? Fifth, the Sunni narrative can be disproved within a second, very easily. The sermon is recorded in Islamic history and the highlights of that sermon as well. Did the Prophet ever mention or refer to the Yemenite expedition of Ali as the reason for this gathering or sermon? and this gathering and sermon? No, of course not. He never even mentioned the expedition or the displeasure of some Sahabas against Ali. The Sunni narrative of this event has zero merit. Zero merit. Sixth and last point. If this sermon was as Sunnis claim it to be to announce Ali's friendship because of a bunch of nitwits that went and complained to the Prophet about Ali, then just imagine this scenario for a second. Play this in your minds if you don't mind for a second. The Prophet goes and he's like, "Hey, I have an idea. I'm just going to bring 100,000 people in the hot desert, build a pulpit, and let them know Ali is my friend, in case you didn't know that already. Yes, yes, sorry, he's not a new member or something. I just really wanted to gather 100,000 people in the roasting sun to remind them Ali is my friend. And then I will order a tent to be set up so my 100,000 Sahabis can congratulate Ali for being my friend." Brain rot. That's exactly what this is. A cognitive and emotional decline, zero intellect, zero critical thinking, shameful distortion of Islamic events. Shameful. I ask you guys a question, a sincere question. Do you congratulate a person on being the friend of a prophet? Do you congratulate a person on being the friend of a prophet? What were the 100,000 people congratulating Ali for? 100,000 congratulations for what? For being a friend? Really? You decide. Inshallah, in my next video, I will present Sunni evidence of prominent companions of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah that at that time understood the sermon's message better than the Sunnis of today. In conclusion, now when we ask Sunnis why Abu Bakr still became caliph after all that, they will say it was an election without Ali, of course. Others may say he was indirectly appointed. How? They narrate one hadith all the time about a absolutely mysterious woman that came to the Prophet where he told her to go to Abu Bakr in his absence. Some other Sunnis will narrate that Abu Bakr led the final prayer during the Prophet's illness, though history books have showed us that when the Prophet learned about the fact that Abu Bakr was leading the prayer, the Prophet hastily came out despite being sick and took Abu Bakr's place. Everything the Sunni will narrate has nothing to do with Abu Bakr's caliphate. Yet they use it to their advantage to create a narrative. And this narrative is just one that they create that fits their own desires. All these Sunni deceptive tactics are a way to justify Saqifa, an event that should have never, ever happened after Ghadir Khum. If you rationalize just a little, just a little, the things I said, then a reasonable Muslim would naturally support Imam Ali alayhi salam as the rightful successor. The same reason Sunnis translate Ahlul Bayt in Hadith al-Thaqalain as my Sunnah is the same reason today they translate Mawla to mean friend. My final remark. It's interesting, very, very interesting that both Sunnis and Shias believe that will, the Messiah who will lead humanity, right, to the end of times is the descendant of the Prophet, peace be upon him, from Fatima and Ali alayhim salam, not from the first caliph usurper Abu Bakr. Interesting, very interesting. There's no compulsion in religion. Allah guides those that are sincere and those that seek knowledge. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide you, dear viewer, and expose those that have lied about the religion of Allah. Your brother in faith or in humanity, protector of the real sunnah of the Prophet and his Ahlul Bayt, peace be upon them. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.